Cheers, everybody. Cheers. Cheers. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Let's enjoy our cup of coffee this morning, It's Friday, August 8th, 8 a.m. on the dot. Let's try to enjoy our Friday here. What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Good morning. Hope everybody's having a nice start to their morning. Good show lined up today. As I've said this a couple times, month of August. We'll just kind of roll the punches here. But for now, we're going to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, in the month of August. So no show, obviously, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Not going to lie, that kind of middle of the week random day off is kind of nice here. I said it before. I don't really want to force content on anybody. I want to make sure that we're throwing up content because it's the right content. So we'll go Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the month of August and take it from there. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Please subscribe to the channel. If you've yet to subscribe to the channel, just subscribe. That's it. Very, very simple. Very, very easy to do. Subscribe to the channel. It's a great way to support the channel. You could also be a member for $3 a month. That's another great way to support the channel. So thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. I'm going to get through the rundown here real quick in just a second, give everybody an idea of what we got going on today. So here's what we got. I jumped on with Trevor Lane on Wednesday night. Jumped on to Lakers Nation. And him and I were chatting, having the Reaves conversation. There's actually been a couple things that have come out since Austin Reaves, since that article on ESPN. There was another one, basically expect Reaves to re-sign with the Lakers. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But for me, it's more about the reaction from Laker fans on the topic of Austin Reaves, because it feels like there's a lot more people that got something to complain about with Austin Reaves and talk about what some of his strengths are. So I kind of want to get a little bit into that as well today. Sammy's going to join me about 8:15. Sammy's going to come on. Used to come on Thursdays, but now since we're not doing a show on Thursday, most likely he'll be on for Fridays. Luka had some quotes out there, talked a little bit about his body transformation, talked a little bit about how the Lakers are supporting him and playing in EuroBasket, which would be idiotic if they weren't, but they are, which is smart of them. And I got a couple things on Luka that I want to hit on as well. Bobby Marks, who does a great job, been a guest of this show as well, does a great job of front office insider for ESPN. He had something out there for 2026 free agency for Lakers, 2027 free agency for Lakers, and the danger of relying on cap space. I don't think the Lakers are relying on cap space, but they certainly are opening up their options, and the idea there is just not too many players are available now in free agency, so we can hit a little bit on that. NBA.com did the top 10 players in the Western Conference. 2 of them play for the Los Angeles Lakers, which you would think would immediately equate to big-time success, but I think it still equates to a lot of question marks, and obviously we know how stacked the Western Conference is. Weekend preview, I'll just point out a couple things in the MLB schedule. NFL is back. We had some preseason games yesterday, so we'll continue to have some preseason games, and then we will call it a week, and then hopefully everybody can enjoy their weekend. So thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Let's get to a couple of comments before we even start. Ocean Breeze comes in. Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. Damn, that's a great quote. Ocean Breeze, you're coming through. You are coming through these days. All right, let's get a couple more of these in here. How much should Rui get in his next deal? Okay, we can do that a little bit later. All right, we'll hit on some of those. Everybody else saying good morning to you as well, and thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys being here. Okay, let's get things started here. Let me start off by reading. Let me start off by reading a report here on Austin Reaves, and then we'll get into the Austin Reaves conversation, because it's funny, because so far in the offseason, when the Lakers were eliminated, a lot of conversation, chatter on Austin Reaves. A lot of people basically saying it's Austin Reaves' fault that free agency, or the draft, free agency, Lakers make their moves. And then once the dust settles, it's like, all right, everybody's ready to get back on Austin Reaves. Need a sip of coffee. What do you guys want me to do? All right, so this is a couple things that came out over the last couple of days. I want to read here real quick. And I think this is Bontemps. All right. Tim Bontemps of ESPN. Here's what he said. The expectation from both that executive and others is that Reaves ultimately will return to Los Angeles, which would cement Reaves' role as the long-term running mate next to Doncic in LA's backcourt, the role once held by Brunson, then Irving in Dallas. Obviously talking about how when he was with the Mavs, one point of his career, he was with Jalen Brunson. Another part of his career, he was with Kyrie Irving, and had really great success with both of those players. So again, I'm going to read this again. And this will kind of tie back to what's happened over the last, let's call it 3-4 days or so. ESPN had a big article, and part of that article was talking about Austin Reaves and what the market says he's going to be able to make in the open market once he becomes an unrestricted free agent this offseason. But let me again read this quote from Tim Bontemps. The expectations from both that executive and others is that Reaves will ultimately return to LA, which would cement Reaves' role as a long-term running mate next to Luka in LA's backcourt. We know that he declined a 4-year, $89.2 million extension. We know that, obviously. That was news that had come out in the offseason. Made no sense for him to sign that deal. He's definitely going to be making more money than that. And then there was some news that came out earlier in the week that what's his market? His market is about $30 million a year is what most people think his market's going to be. So when I read that, I don't get angry. I don't get upset. My emotion towards Austin Reaves is like, hey, nice player, good player, came up through the system for the Lakers. I think he's been more than anybody can possibly ask for as far as what his value's been to the Lakers based off of what he makes and based off what his expectations were just a couple years ago. I think Austin Reaves has done it the right way. And, it's great to see him have the type of contributions that he had. And it's great to see the expectations only grow for Austin Reaves. Now, that's my outlook on it. Now, we can get into a number of different things, and we will. But before I start reading, anybody else's comments or thoughts or any of that stuff, I'll tell you what the pulse that I'm getting when the Austin Reaves conversation comes up. So right now I have that article in front of me, and I don't have the comments there. But when I mentioned I had gone on with Trevor Lane a couple days ago, and the conversation had come up about Austin Reaves, most of the comments, most everybody, it felt like there was a wild overreaction, in my opinion, that basically the reason why the Lakers lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves was because of Austin Reaves. All right, so nobody else wants to mention some of the other reasons why they lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves, or is this all on Austin Reaves? Because how about an incomplete roster where you don't have enough size? How about a first-year head coach in J.J. Redick that really did not use any of the rotations properly? How about moments where Luka looked gassed? How about moments where you're relying too much on a 40-year-old LeBron James? How about also Austin Reaves? I'm not telling you Austin Reaves is not part of the conversation. Of course he's a part of the conversation, but I just thought there was too much of like, this is all on Austin Reaves. If you just don't sign Austin Reaves, and that gets rid of that problem. Or maybe what other people are suggesting is trade Austin Reaves. So there's a lot to be kind of to unfold in the Austin Reaves conversation from my perspective, because it's a very polarizing conversation. I if you'd have told me a year ago so many people want Austin Reaves off the Lakers, I'd be like, no, I don't think that's going to happen. That doesn't make any sense. But a lot has also changed. And I think the fact that Luka's now a Los Angeles Laker, so you got Luka and Austin Reaves potentially in your backcourt, I get it. There's a lot of concern there. Definitely concern there. amazing offensively, awful defensively. So I'm with everybody on that there should be some concern there. But when I read this article that basically says the expectations are that Austin Reaves is going to end up with the Los Angeles Lakers and whatever price point that they come to, that there's a strong chance that he'll re-sign with the Lakers in the summer of 2026. I don't that doesn't look to me. I don't look at that and say, "Oh, that's a big time issue." Lakers are going to have a huge problem because they're re-signing Austin Reaves. But I think other people would disagree with me or would differ with that conversation. So let's do this. At least I kind of laid out a little bit what some of the conversation is and what some of the articles are, and that there are expectations for him to come back to the Lakers and sign some type of an extension next year, or to re-sign with the Lakers. So let's take a look at some of the comments. I'd love to see what people got to say in regards to Austin Reaves, and I'm sure there'll probably be some overreaction, and there'll be some of this that makes sense. I will also include this: if the money is right, and I do think the money is going to be around 30 million, give or take. If the money is right, then I would rather have Austin Reaves than not have Austin Reaves. What I don't want from Austin Reaves is, well, he just signed somewhere else and he walks away for nothing. You obviously don't want that. You're also going to get an opportunity, and something to keep in mind. If it's just not going as planned and 3-4 months go into the season, and you get to January 1st and you're like, that ain't the backcourt. That's not going to work. That's not going to happen. And they got to use Austin Reaves and trade him while they can right now, and hopefully get as much as they can for him. I don't think that's going to happen. Then I think obviously Lakers need to address it. But the beauty is, I don't think they need an answer today. I do think they need an answer by the time you get to January 1st, February 1st at the latest, knowing that, hey, this is our guy. This is one of our pieces for the future. All right, let's take a look at some of these comments here. Reeves should be brought back unless there's a trade for a good 3-and-D player. So I think there is a what is Austin Reeves' value in the NBA? I think he's got some value. I really do. I think Austin Reeves, what he would bring back in a trade, I'm not 100% sure. But the only problem with Austin Reeves is if you are going to make a deal with him, a team's going to want hey, we got to make sure that he's signing with us long term, right? That's going to be their biggest hope in any conversation, is that if you're trading for a player who's about to have an expiring contract, you got to make sure obviously he's staying with you long term. Let's see what we have here. Let's see. People saying Reeves will be the next any of these players. I hear a lot. Get Reeves off my squad. Okay. Let me see what we have here. If losing was his fault, was winning all his fault? No. Okay. Keep going on a couple more of these here. Okay, let's get this one. Everyone thinks the Lakers do not have that extra piece, but the doubters are wrong. If these guys on roster play as a group and all are locked in on defense, they will and can win effort. I will say this, and part of the conversation when I was talking with Trevor, is there is going to be a piece of this as well. Can Reeves just be a little bit better defensively? Can Luka, going through his kind of body transformation and getting into what I would call NBA shape? You guys all remember, what was a quote JJ Redick had at the end of the regular season, or the end of the playoffs? He had the exit interviews. He said, some of these guys here need to be in championship shape. Listen, I think it's pretty fair to say he was probably talking about Luka. And as he's saying that, look what Luka looks like now. Can he be a little bit better on the defensive side? Can Marcus Smart play 60 games and contribute on the defensive side? Can DeAndre Ayton, in a critical year for himself, in order to kind of show his value around the NBA for years to come, can he have a much better year than he's had the last couple of years? It's not on one player, right? And a lot of this will take, can you have multiple players connect that maybe were not connected before, and now all of a sudden it's a different team? We'll have to wait and see. Obviously I don't have an answer to that, but I think there is I think that's a fair conversation to have. We have no idea what condition Smart is in. And frankly, to be honest with you, I don't think we're going to know until you get into training camp. And once you get into training camp, that's going to tell a lot more of the story than everything else. AR is a starter on a marginal playoff qualifying team. He needs to come off the bench on a championship level team. Professor, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think there's a real conversation to be had about bringing Austin Reaves off the bench. I don't know if they're going to do it, strategically and how they feel, what the roster looks like. Are you giving up too much offense if you put Austin Reaves on the bench? But I would like my starting lineup to have a little bit more balance. I would like my starting lineup to have a team that I know that, all right, we got part of us that are full offense, and the other side of it, that's also, I got guys that I know can play defense. I got some dogs on the defensive side as well. I think Reaves can shine off the bench. I think Reaves can still play 30 minutes and close out games and be a key contributor to the Lakers. But it does not seem like there is a scenario out there that plays out. But we'll see. We'll wait. I hate when you come into training camp and it's like they've already decided everything. It's like, yeah, no. This guy's going to be the starter. This guy's going to be the guy coming off the bench. It's like, let training camp play out. You got different guys that are there. You got obviously a different squad. Now you do have a hopefully a legitimate big man in the center. How does that kind of change the narrative? My hope is that that will change the narrative. You can't pay a guy 30 plus mil coming off the bench. I think here's the bigger question. What makes most sense for the team? If he's making 30 million, is he still playing 30 minutes? And is he still, and by the way, he's not, this upcoming year, he's not playing 30. He's not getting paid 30 million. So, I get what you're saying, but this upcoming season, he's still on his $13-14 million contract. So maybe that's a problem to have once he re-signed with the Lakers or he was making more money or whatever the case is. But as we sit here today, he's not making 30 million. So at least for this upcoming season, I think that should be a conversation. And I know what you're saying. If you're making this much money, how can you be coming off the bench? But I think at the end of the day, Austin Reaves has more value than a lot of these other players that would be in the starting lineup. And he's still going to play starter minutes. It just comes more down to what makes the most sense. What makes the most sense for the team? What does coming off the bench mean if he's still getting starter minutes? Yeah, that's kind of the whole point and the whole concept. Okay. So we'll keep this we'll keep this Reaves conversation going. I don't think this conversation is going anywhere anytime soon. From what I've noticed, the biggest frustration that Laker fans have with Austin Reaves, if I list them out here. His defense, his poor playoff performance, his fit with Luka, and then the cost. If you end up having to pay him $30 million, I think that's kind of the list that I have here. I did, something I will point out, and I did this with Trevor when we were doing the show. Here are guys just to, I think a lot of people get sticker shock with that $30 million price range, but I just want to point out guys that are getting paid in the NBA right now, what some of these guys are getting paid. Emmanuel Quickly is getting paid $32 million. Jeremy Grant's getting paid $32 million. Jordan Poole is getting paid $32 million. Kristaps Porzingis is getting paid $30 million. CJ McCollum is getting paid $30 million. This is good to play this exercise here because I want people to know $30 million in today's NBA is not the $30 million that you think it is. Anthony Simons is getting paid $28 million. Terry Rozier is paying $26 million. There's guys in the league getting paid. And they're getting paid in that, let's call it 25 to 35 range that I don't think are as good as Austin Reaves. That's why I think he's going to get the type of money, like I said from the beginning, that he's going to end up getting. All right, let's get Sammy in here. I mentioned Sammy's going to be joining the show, so let's get Sammy on screen here. Good morning, Sammy. Good morning,
Alan. What's up, dude?
What's going on, man? How are you doing?
Doing good, man. How about you?
Doing good. Yeah, just hitting a little Austin Reaves conversation.
Which I know people. Very. I was listening to the show. People, not a lot of Austin fans in the chat. I'm kind of surprised.
When did that start? Because I don't feel like this started. I'll tell you, I feel it. I felt it more than any other time. after the playoffs, before the playoffs? When did it start? When did the Reaves thing begin?
I think you're right on that. I definitely think the playoffs. He didn't play well, and there's no sugarcoating it. He didn't play well. Now I think you feel the same way because I believe we talked about this. Reaves seems to get singled out, and the entire team played bad. So it's in. I'm not making excuses for him. He was the third guy. He was the reason that people thought heading into that matchup against Minnesota was that maybe the Lakers had the edge because they had the third star, and an elite scorer to go up against a third defender that a lot of people didn't think the Timberwolves had. So I get it. Austin really needed to play well in that series, but I don't know. I feel like Austin Reaves is kind of like public enemy number one.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys on that roster that did not show up in a big way in that series.
Yeah, that's the only, I guess my only, piece in this is if you're pointing the finger just at Austin Reaves for losing against Minnesota, I don't know what you were watching. He's one of the pieces. They didn't have a big. The roster was flawed. Luka was not in shape. LeBron had moments where, if you really want to rely that much on a 40-year-old, I think you're already you're obviously already in trouble. JJ Redick looked like a rookie head coach, and Austin Reaves also wasn't good. Reaves is part of that conversation, but
yes, completely. I understand people frustrated. Like, I'm not making excuses for Austin Reaves in the playoffs. If he's making $30 million a year and he plays like that continually in the playoffs, it will be a bad contract. I just believe in Austin Reaves a little bit more. Look at what happened that series.
I do too.
You laid it all out. Everything that you just said. No center. JJ Redick got completely out-coached. Reaves didn't play well. Luka had the damn flu. He literally had the flu in game 2 and game 3. And he was
that's right. That's right.
Like, everything that could have gone wrong for the Lakers did go wrong for the Lakers. And I get it that Austin was not, the guy we wanted him to be. But also 2 months prior, we were talking about Austin Reaves as possibly the best third star in the game. It's kind of a steep fall off in a month or two.
Okay, so I think part of the reason why Reaves became such a conversation again this week is because of that ESPN article. Article comes out. Basically, I think his market's going to be around $30 million, which, again, I don't think that's a shock. I think people that think that he's going to get $30 million a year, whether that's from the Lakers or that's from another team, I think he's going to make 30. And then there was Tim Bontemps put something out that it's expected that he will re-sign with the Lakers. And I agree. Like, I'd be surprised. I'd be more surprised that Austin Reaves is not a Laker than he is a Laker. Okay, what kind of goes through your mind when you start having that chat? Because then the conversation is less to do with, you're getting him at a hometown discount. He's overplaying his contract, whatever value from a value perspective. Are you good with Reaves as a Laker moving forward, making $30 million plus?
I am, and I might be in the minority there, but I do think. Listen, if you don't think Austin Reaves is a super talented player, like, it sounds obvious, but if you don't think he's that good, then yeah, $30 million a year. It's like, why would you pay this guy? I don't get it.
There's a lot of players that are getting around that amount that should not be getting that amount, and that I'm not here to justify. Well, other people have bad contracts, so Lakers should just sign a bad one.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is I think Reaves is better than a lot of those players that are in that category.
Like you said, Emmanuel Quickly, Jeremy Grant, he's way better than both of those guys. So I get it. If you don't think Austin Reaves is very good, you don't want him. If the reasoning is that Luka can't have a running mate at the guard spot, I totally disagree with that. Jalen Brunson, they went to Western Conference Finals. Kyrie Irving, they went to a championship. And no, is Austin Reaves those players right now? But this whole narrative that Luka can't have a guy next to him that doesn't play defense. No, it's about having bigs, 3-and-D defenders,
having a full team, having a real team.
Yeah. What about you? You like that? Would you like that contract if he signs back?
Well, what I was going to say is that I think just as critical of a conversation it's not is Austin and Luka in your backcourt. It's what does the whole team look like? What are the fits of the entire team? Because if you got a really, really good 3-and-D player that's with them, and then you have a really, really good center that's with them, and then you have, I'll use LeBron as the example, or wherever the Lakers are, because who knows? You can't predict what LeBron's going to be doing in a year from now, whatever the case is. there's a lot of pieces to win. You got to have a lot of pieces to win. And you might not have, the perfect, hey, the backcourt isn't perfect, but they're as explosive offensively as any backcourt in the NBA. And then on top of that, you just got so many other pieces that make sense. I think that, obviously you got to make sure the rest of the roster is just makes sense that it fits. Do I think $30 million for Austin Reaves? Yes, I would re-sign Austin Reaves. And worst case scenario, you have Austin Reaves, you have his control, and things, if they're not going as planned, Austin Reaves, I think, has a lot of value in a trade. So I would rather have Austin Reaves than not have Austin Reaves.
And we're going to see him this year. If he performs like that again, I get it. Everyone in the comments is like, oh, he's not that. I get it. But
the concern, here's the only problem with if he performs like that again. If it's in the regular season, it's different. The problem is, what if he kills it in the regular season again, and then come postseason? Because I think most of the fans that are frustrated are the ones that are like, hey, when it counted most, you were at your worst.
I get it. The only thing we have to see, it's hard to assess a team that didn't have a center, because Rui Hachimura was dropping down to play center along with LeBron and then inevitably they even played more down there when Hayes got benched. So Reaves is really having to guard Jaden McDaniels, which is probably not the matchup that everyone wanted. As a Laker fan, wanted Jaden McDaniels to be guarding Austin Reaves. So it's just, again, I'm not making excuses for Austin Reaves. He did not play well in the series. He was one of the reasons why they did not win. I just feel like everyone's misremembering it a little bit. Like it's just Austin Reaves' fault is why they lost. Like there was a lot of guys on that team that were not even playing the roles that they were projected to play.
Luka, good point here. I get it. I know people are saying that. Here's the good thing. He's not making 30 yet. So whatever your roster looks like a year from now, I don't know what it's going to look like. LeBron might be on the team. LeBron might not be on the team. Maybe there's a player that got disgruntled and wanted out, and Lakers went all in for that player. So I'd worry less about Austin Reaves, starting lineup, all that stuff next year. I would just pay attention to this year because, and I get the point. The point is like, if the only thing I would say to anybody saying, how are you going to pay somebody $30 million to come off the bench? We're not saying that he's not getting 15 minutes a game. He's going to play 30 minutes. He's going to play starter minutes.
He might
just not as a
games,
starter.
he might not start.
Yep. All right, let me look at a couple supers here real quick. Reaves fans seem to discount what happened in the playoffs. His numbers drop, and he's a target defensively. Go get a legit 3-and-D wing next to Luka. Bonner, I appreciate the super here, brother. I don't think there's anybody discounting what happened in the playoffs. I think it's because of what happened in the playoffs that Reaves is getting as much criticism as he's getting. So I don't think it has anything to do with what happened in the postseason. I think it's because of what happened in the postseason that I think people are so critical. Go get a legit 3-and-D wing next to Luka. This is the reality of the NBA. And, unfortunately for the Lakers, they're not the Oklahoma City Thunder who have 3 or 4 of these or whatever the case. Lakers don't have the 3-and-D wings that make up, I think, today's NBA. Go look at the Boston Celtics. Go look at, there's teams out there that obviously have a plethora of them. Not a strong suit for the Lakers. And I think what Bonner's basically saying here is, can you use Reaves to go get one of those players? I get that. I understand it. We'll see, as the season progresses. But yeah, it'd be nice to obviously have more from that position. DCRUU, thank you for the super, brother. Gotta let me call into your show. Would you just call my cell and then we'll put it on speaker?
Speaker.
Put on speaker there, brother. I appreciate
Sammy's
you.
An idiot for his Reaves take.
What's that?
Said Sammy's an idiot for his Reaves take.
No, I will tell you this, and that was kind of, back in the days when doing radio. It's a fun part of the show, right? You just take phone calls and everything else. I appreciate the supers. Okay, let's keep things rolling here. A couple things I have not got into, and the Reaves conversation, I'm sure this will continue. It's not like the Reaves conversation is going anywhere, but this week we did learn that probably going to get $30 million in the open market, and Tim Bontemps of ESPN is expecting that he will eventually re-sign with the Lakers. So that's why it kind of became such a big conversation as well. I don't know if you got a chance to see this, but Luka was talking about his, kind of what's happened so far in the offseason and his transformation as far as what his body looks like today. I'm going to read I'm going to read a couple quotes here. He's talking about basically how much weight that he lost. He says, I get this question all the time. I think I was a good player before too. What drove me? Basically, we made a slightly different training plan. Well, I had a little more time. Last summer was really tiring. I played until June, then the national team, so there was no energy. This year, I had more time. So he's talking about how I even saw a report that he lost close to 30 pounds or something along those lines.
Yeah.
I'm sure that he's motivated for a number of different reasons. Obviously, we know what his body looks like today. Let me ask you this, and I'm just kind of curious on he has the kind of the transformation in his body. I think everybody, I know most Laker fans since February, since he got traded, is like, you got to drop some LBs, brother. And I think there were definitely games that you can tell that he wasn't in the shape that he needed to be. And it was a conversation. I don't think it was going to go anywhere. Do you expect something different because he dropped weight? Like, does oh my gosh, he dropped 25, 20, 30 pounds, whatever amount that he dropped, and he looks the way that he does. Do your expectations change for a player that's been one of the top 5-6 players in the league every single year, it seems like, for the last handful of years?
Definitely. I mean, he could be 500 pounds and roll out of his sleep and get 30 points. It's not really offensively, where I think that's gonna be a thing. But defensively, certainly listen, he's never gonna be a shutdown defender. He's never gonna be some Jared Vanderbilt type guy. But being in shape also will allow you to be able to, play defense a little bit more later in games. We saw, I believe it was game 3 in Minnesota. Now he was dealing with the flu, but he literally in the fourth quarter was bent over at half court looking like he was going to puke, because he was so that's where being out of shape, if you're not feeling the best or whatever, really plays into it. I heard someone say they think it could affect his rebounding, because he has always been a really good rebounder, and people have kind of attributed to the fact that he is a little bit bigger and can match up down low a little bit. But I mean, I don't know. I think him being in shape is only going to be able to help, and especially as they go later in games, he can't tire out as much. So I definitely think it'll help a lot.
Yeah, and I think there's there's a little bit of this, and I get the argument that people have made. You've heard other players that have played with him basically say, like, I wish I was overweight and I could do what Luka does. But I don't think that's the point. I think the point is, and I'm not trying to make an excuse. If I say Jokic, you can say, well, Jokic isn't in the best shape in the world. Jokic is also not your point guard, and I think Jokic also, in a weird way, has a motor. Like, watching Jokic play in games, I don't feel like Jokic is tired in these games. Not to say that he isn't or anything like that.
Yeah.
But Luka, I think you could really tell how it was affecting him. And if Luka was just in the paint all day, and I know Jokic does a lot more than just sitting in the paint, but it's different. Point guard and a center, there is no comparison. You're just going to imagine that your point guard,
you're gonna have some
obviously, and you're just going to imagine that he's going to be in better shape. But I'm with you. I look at Luka now, and because of the shape that he's in, because of how last season ended, because he got traded from Dallas, because of this, that, all that stuff, I'm like, in my head, maybe I don't think I'm on an island on this one, but I'm looking at Luka. I'm like, I think this guy's going to have the best season he's ever had in the NBA. And he's had some unbelievable seasons. I think he's going to be able to do things that we haven't seen before. I think what you said on the defensive side, I think there's so much that goes, well, Reaves isn't good defensively. Okay, I get that. I understand that. You know who else isn't good defensively? Luka's not either. They're not going to become shutdown point guards. We're not going to see Gary Payton out there. But if they could both just improve a little bit on the defensive side, It does have an impact.
Well, and I think what people get so frustrated with is, to your point, it's not just that you're going to become some lockdown, shutdown defender, because you're paying Luka Doncic to score 35 points in a playoff game. That's what you're paying him for. But what we saw at the end of last year at times, and some people, I know people complain in Dallas about it, was the literal other opposing guards, point guards, just blowing by him. And it wasn't even like a threat. Like, they weren't even really getting to step there, making them cross up the other way. It was literally like they were just getting through the entire defense, getting to the center. Being in shape will help that, because you'll have more energy on the other end. It felt like a lot of times Luka was literally conserving energy to be good on offense at the end, which is, it's amazing how good he's been with all that added weight. But yeah, certainly being in shape is going to be good. Did you read the whole Men's Health article?
Most of it. Is there a specific part that you're referring to, or
no? I was just curious because I know you weren't you were tired of people talking about his weight.
Okay, so and you're right about that. I kind of have got. I was frustrated very early on when people are like, "Hey, Luka's losing weight." I'm like, "Well, yeah, because he needs to lose weight," and it's just very difficult for me to give credit to somebody that, that should be a given. People can say whatever they want about LeBron. Has anybody ever said, "Hey, is he ready to go to training camp?" It's like, all right, think of just some of these elite athletes. You never got to worry about what they look like. You never got to worry about their conditioning. So I just didn't want to make too big of a deal with Luka in regards to that. However, he dropped a lot like that. That's I guess maybe I just never really thought that Luka was going to be, you're going to look at his body and be like, damn, he looks really good. He looks really good, and
yeah.
And how that translates on the court, we'll have to wait and see.
I'm just excited the fact that, he got paid. He could have been like, he was going to get paid anyway. He could have really been like, hey, I'm Luka Doncic. I'm the face of the franchise. Yeah, I'm here and I want to win, but I'm doing things my way. And I know this has kind of been talked about ad nauseum, but I mean, Nico Harrison, it's going to be a fun rivalry between the Mavs and the Lakers for years with them getting Cooper Flag, in the sense of that it wasn't just like, hey, we're trading him because we don't, we want to move it in a different direction. But the slander that he's fat, he smokes hookah, he doesn't care, he's got his whole entourage. They're like the real slander about Luka Doncic. It's cool that he took it seriously and really made an effort to change it, even though yeah, he had to. But at the end of the day, it's not like the Lakers were going to trade Luka Doncic again. So
I wonder if he got traded, and this isn't me trying to blow smoke up the Lakers franchise or anything like that, but I wonder if he got traded somewhere else. If he was I'm just gonna throw out teams. Let's just say he was playing for the Denver Nuggets, or he was playing for the Portland Trailblazers or the Sacramento Kings, and I don't even have I'm just trying to find smaller markets and teams franchises that don't have the expectations that the Lakers have. I wonder if it was maybe more accepted, whatever Luka looks like, because Luka in Dallas, it seemed like it was accepted, and the guy was getting to the NBA Finals, and he was delivering to an extent. Not to an extent, he was delivering, period. But I think since he came to the Lakers, I mean, for every conversation out there that was like, "Oh my God, Lakers got Luka," there are a couple conversations that was like, "Luka ain't in shape." And I wonder if, because I don't think that noise was going to go anywhere. And I think that even if you have Laker fans that might appreciate Luka as a Laker, there's also the, okay, yeah, you're a Laker now, but what are you going to do as a Laker? And there was obviously instant pressure.
I totally agree with that. There's something that comes with playing for the Lakers that it's not, you're a megastar, but you're in a city among stars, and you're playing for an organization that's been accustomed to stars for years. I think we're seeing this in the NFL right now. Like Aaron Rodgers, I know he got hurt with the Jets 2 years ago, but then he went to the Jets. Kind of walked on water. It's like the Jets have never had a quarterback outside of Joe Namath. It was like, he's here, he's saving the franchise, and all the crazy kind of stuff that went down. Now you're playing for Pittsburgh, and all reports are that he's locked in. It's like, yeah, you play for the Steelers are a much different organization than the New York Jets. The Steelers there's expectations that come with playing for Pittsburgh versus playing for the Jets, who are like, oh my God, we have a quarterback that's somewhat relevant, that has a name. I totally agree with that, in the sense of Luka playing for some small market. It's like, oh, it's just good. We want to keep him here, keep him happy. And I wonder also if he had walked away in free agency and hadn't been traded, if we would have seen the body transformation. Like, there's something about being traded when you are, quote, an untouchable player, and then everything that came after that probably just awoke a demon, I guess, as you would say, that might not if he had just left Dallas.
Yeah, and I think there's this hey, if you can do this looking like that, where you're overweight, or when I say overweight, obviously what I'm talking about is just compared to other NBA players, right? Like you're comparing yourself to the most fit people in the world. That's what you're comparing yourself to. So, but I wonder if there's a piece that's like, if you can do that based off of being 10, 15, 20 pounds, if you get in a better shape, what will that do to your game? And for a lot of players, I'm not going to all of a sudden expect Luka now to be blown by players like Kyrie Irving. That's not the idea.
Yeah.
But I think the idea is more, what does it do to your game? What does it do in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left? What does it do if the game goes to OT? What does it do to your defense? Like, what are small little areas that you can improve on that, right now, as great as his game is, he's got some holes in it.
And it shows how committed he is to being a Laker and being the face of the franchise. Like, going back to, like, he would have signed the deal anyway. He could have been like, yeah, I'm going to get in shape, but not really do it. To really do a whole body transformation is just, I can't wait for the season to get here. And it's so funny, all the reporting. Remember 2 months ago when there was reporting of Luka may not sign back and the Lakers are worried? It's just, I don't know. It's but they must have known the entire time. And it probably took a lot of, like, guts or whatever for Pelinka, that dinner they had, Pelinka and I believe JJ to say. And then what he said, he's like, we got to get in championship shape. JJ also knowing that Luka's here. Luka could easily have gotten him fired in a year, been like, I want my coach in there. Like, I do like that there is some control being taken from the organization, and it's not just a player-run organization, which the Lakers shouldn't be.
Yeah, I never really – I always thought, like, I just never thought Luka was going to go anywhere. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, I felt like Lakers know how to treat stars. They're going to give him the keys to the franchise. It's good business for both sides. Luka getting a chance now. It's not like he asked out of Dallas. It's not like, he still looks like the good guy in this whole thing. And,
totally.
Obviously getting a chance. Now it's honestly, now it's going to be up to the Lakers to try to figure out how they can, obviously create a winning team from there. One real quick I'm going to throw out here. I saw this as well, that the Lakers basically complete support of him playing in the EuroBasket tournament for Slovenia. He said they support me. They really support me and encourage me to the maximum. I know this was a conversation that he was having. I've heard some people say that, it's risky. He's going to go play in EuroBasket. If the Lakers were smart to allow him to go represent his country, I don't think, I don't think people really fully understand how much tournaments like this mean to players like Luka. So it would have been idiotic if this was an issue, but it wasn't an issue. It was smart by the Lakers. So I think there's just no real conversation there. I don't know if you've seen the 2025 EuroBasket, kind of the list of players that are going to be in this, but I'm going to name off a few of them. Just, NBA players. Lauri Markkanen, he'll be in the tournament. He's representing Finland. Let's get a couple more in here. I got Schroeder will be representing Germany. Franz Wagner will be representing Germany. Giannis Antetokounmpo, of course, representing Greece. Porzingis representing Latvia. Valanciunas for Lithuania. Vucevic, Montenegro, and we've heard his name thrown around a little bit as well. Who else we got? Jokic representing Serbia. Bogdan Bogdanovic representing Serbia. Luka, of course, Slovenia. The point that I'm trying to make here, Şengün representing Turkey. There are some real good NBA players that are going to be part of this tournament. So I know in August it's going to be obviously light from a basketball perspective. At least we got some of these games that we can watch.
I thought you were about to make the point that we're going to lose in the Olympics in a couple of years. That's what I thought you were going to. Because we had this discussion a few weeks ago.
LeBron. Okay, wait. Just real quick. LeBron, KD, Steph, all out, right?
Maybe Steph maybe could come back.
2028, right? LeBron, Steph, KD. Is there anybody else I'm missing that would be a part? That wouldn't be a part of it, of the main ones? Embiid, probably not. I don't think Embiid
probably not.
Okay.
AD probably.
Yeah. I'm
taking
the field. I mean, I don't know what you want me to tell you. You're not taking the field? I'm taking the field.
Where is your patriotism, Alan?
It's not about patriotism. It's not about that. It's not about that.
Do you think
you're asking me a basketball question? You're asking me if you take off 4 of the 5 starters that were a part of the USA basketball Olympic team in 2024, I'm telling you I don't think they're beating the field.
Okay, but what single-handed team is better than them? Like, let's take that. Okay, Anthony
Probably
Edwards.
France. Probably France.
With Rudy Gobert?
No, with Victor Wembanyama.
Okay, that's one player. That's
They took I mean, they made it a game with all those players.
Exactly. Cooper Flag leading the squad. Okay, you're gonna have Cooper Flag there.
I don't think anybody's gonna be scared of Cooper Flag. I don't. In the US or in the Olympics, I don't think so.
Anthony Edwards is gonna be there. Tyrese Halliburton's gonna be there.
I like it.
We got a lot of guys that we can go to.
Devin Booker.
We're gonna reassess Luka's citizenship to Los Angeles, and he will be playing.
All those players that you just named will all need a basketball when they're on there. There's going to be 4 balls dribbling on offense.
Okay, who's guarding on France and Canada? Dylan Brooks is going to guard all of them.
No, that's right. I forgot about Canada. Canada's got a squad too. All right, we're getting off course here. We're getting so off course here. It's pretty funny. That's actually pretty funny because I
just had to, because I know you're, I don't want you. I need you to be rooting for America. You better not be rooting for Canada.
I'm an underdog guy.
No, you're from San Diego. Okay, that's in America.
It's true, but my parents, I have ties to Canada because my parents are from Iraq. So the tie there. There's no tie. All right, let's keep going here. What was did you? I don't know if you saw this. I'm asked you this question in regards to some cap space here. I'm gonna see if I could share this at the same time. We could look at this together. Let's see if I could do this. Bobby Marks did such a good job of kind of looking at the Lakers and their future, and I like the way he put it. He put danger of relying on cap space. So let me see if I could share my screen here real quick with you. I feel like when I'm doing this, there's 2 of us. There's the world changes. Let me see if I got this. All right. Do we all see this?
Yep.
We're all looking at the cap space here. Okay. So here's the Lakers in 2026 offseason. All right. Projected room, $45 million. Here are the players that are will become free agents. Here are the key free agents around the NBA in 2026. I'm gonna jump here to 2027 here because I think this is the year everybody's kind of talking about how there's going to be so many players that could potentially be available. Lakers are going to have close to $100 million in cap space and everything else. But he put in here, we go into detail, the dangers of relying on cap space. Look at some of the names: Giannis, Jokic, Steph, Jimmy Butler, Donovan Mitchell, Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Davis. I think some of these you can take off the list. Steph, Jimmy Butler. I don't think they're coming to the Lakers. And then we'll see what happens to some of the other key names. I don't think AD's coming back to the Lakers. We'll have to wait and see. What do you make when people talk a little bit about 2027 and Lakers are kind of prepping for to have as much flexibility as possible? But that's 2 years down the road. What kind of comes to mind when we have that conversation?
I like it in the sense of that, yes, it's as all of us fans, we want to win right now, and I get it. But like even going back to that Mark Williams deal, and not saying Mark Williams wouldn't have been a good player, maybe he'll be really good for the next while. He is a young, talented player. But it felt like the Lakers got Luka, and then it was like, hey, let's rush the deal because we have to get a center because we're not winning a title without a center. The fact that in the offseason they can trade up to 3 first-round picks instead of 1 right now.
Yeah.
And then you have, who knows? Jokic didn't sign his contract extension. There was the Boogie Cousins said he thought about retiring in the offseason before he got his deal. Giannis is potentially there. What other stars come up in the next 2 years? I mean, you have, if you think about it, if you're the Lakers, you're Los Angeles, which sells. You have Luka is going to be your running mate. You're going to have a bunch of draft picks. You're going to have a bunch of cap space. I mean, the Lakers can really go attack this thing and get the player they want instead of just the best player that maybe the best star that's available. I really like what they're doing because it feels like for years the Lakers have kind of been towing the line between we want to win now, but we're also building for the future. And if you're kind of half in, half out, you're not really have your full thing in one area.
Wouldn't you say they're still in that? They're still in that spot?
Well, the last few years I felt like they were, and then this is the first year, in my opinion, like they're really stepping out. Like going to the Jake LaRavia signing. I'm not sitting here saying Jake LaRavia is going to be some Hall of Fame level player, but that player a couple of years ago, like, yes, is Dorian Finney-Smith better for this season? Probably. Dorian Finney-Smith is a more established player that if you're Houston, that was a big get. But the Lakers turned younger. Marcus Smart. I know he's dealt with injury histories, but he's not an old player. DeAndre Ayton, not an old player. Jake LaRavia. Like, there's kind of a youth movement, and you're going to see
I agree with that.
Be here coming in the future versus just slapping Band-Aids on open wounds, which it feels like the Lakers have done for a lot of years now. And then we're sitting here kind of being like, hey, we still need to get younger and build for the future. I like that Luka seems to be okay with building for the future at the same time.
I think there's also a little bit, this is the first time that there's a little bit of clarity on LeBron. You know, I don't know what LeBron's going to do in this, you know, a year from now. I'm not sure, but it feels like the Lakers kind of know. They're just like, all right, well, we'll take it 1 year at a time. We'll assess the situation. We're going to need that cap space. So we'll have to figure out whether this makes sense for us to give you another $50+ million or if it doesn't. That probably helps with kind of planning for the future as well. That's the first time I really feel like there's a little bit of clarity there, but I understand why there hasn't been clarity. There hasn't been clarity because he's still really good and your best chance of winning is with him than without him. And he is still box office and everything else. I think that the thing that's most fascinating to me, I think the 2027 cap space that they have, it's not to go sign somebody in 2027. I think the cap space that they have is for next summer. And I think there's a little bit of, and maybe this is just unrealistic, but it's the truth. They're hoping and praying one of these guys decides, you know what, I did everything I can for this city, for this team. Maybe I've already won a championship here. This LA thing is interesting right now. This stage of my career, I get to go play with Luka. I want to go be a Laker. That's the only way they're getting Giannis or Jokic. The only way they're getting those two players. And I know these are a little bit of a pipe dream, even though I think Giannis is less of a pipe dream, in my opinion.
Giannis feels more realistic.
It feels more realistic because I just think if you told me between these two players, which player do you think is going to finish his career with his current team? Is it more likely that Jokic finishes his career in Denver, or is it more likely that Giannis finishes his career in Milwaukee? For me, it's like I much more think it's Jokic finishing his career in Denver than I think Giannis. I think Giannis, there's a real opportunity. I think there's desperation from the Milwaukee Bucks right now, the dead money that they gave to Damian Lillard. I think they're in complete desperation mode, which I understand why. They don't want Giannis to go anywhere, but it feels like if you said one of those two players would become available, I think it would be Giannis. And Lakers don't have the package. They don't have the package to go get Giannis. They can't beat Oklahoma. They can't beat San Antonio. They can't beat any of these teams. So all of this would have to basically lead to Giannis saying, I want to be a Laker. That's the only way he becomes a Laker.
And Giannis being in the East, the Bucks, even though maybe they don't want to make give the Lakers another great player in a trade, are going to be, if they really have a great package, they're going to go, okay, there is no way that Denver is, if Jokic was like, I want to be a Laker, they would trade him. He's like, I'm not going to resign. They would trade him halfway through his last season as under contract. It would be kind of like a Kawhi situation. They would trade him somewhere, probably in the Eastern Conference, and hope he fell in love with it and kind of stayed.
Sure.
Like the Denver Nuggets could do anything in their power to not let the Lakers, who they're going to have to see for the next decade, have Jokic and Luka, because they would be a title favorite every year. But I'm totally with you. I'm curious though. Do you think that LeBron is more likely to retire, go to another team, or stay with the Lakers after this year?
All right, retire, stay with the Lakers.
I was thinking about salary cap. Like they didn't offer the extension.
Yeah.
That seems like they're kind of saying goodbye. I don't know if he's going to retire or if he's going to try to go somewhere.
Let me play this out real quick, and I think that's a fair question to have. The question that's more curious to me is, let's say Lakers were able to figure out a way to get another big time player, hypothetically, able to get another big time player. If you're LeBron, are you willing to say, okay, hey, I've been saying that I want another shot at an NBA championship. Well, I could stay in LA and do it. I don't have to move my family or anything, but I have to take significantly less money to make that happen. Do I want to go take significantly less money to go play somewhere else? The Cavs, the Knicks, one of these other teams. Clippers could be a destination as well for him. Let's not pretend like that's not a destination. Or do I want that to happen with the Lakers? So I would say of those three options that you gave me, I lean more towards he stays as a Laker than he goes somewhere else or he retires.
Okay. Cool. I was just curious. It's very interesting, the whole, I mean, it's a whole conversation for another day, but the whole kind of LeBron storyline of this kind of smoke, there's fire, possibly won a trade months ago. Then he's all there. And then he posts the Clipper thing. He's in Cleveland playing golf. Like, it's just, and then the Lakers not offering the contract extension was very telling. Like, that's something that never would have been done 5 years ago. Nor should it.
But that's the right point. The point you said, nor should it have been. The reason why the Lakers this offseason did not offer him an extension is because it's reached the point of, I think this is the time where we hold up on any more extensions. And I think it's the right thing to do. If you told me 3 years ago they didn't offer him an extension, you'd be like, guys, he's still top 5 in the NBA, still top 7 in the NBA, whatever you want to call it. So I think it's now is the time. If there's ever a time, and you could even make the case that not offering him an extension was not smart. I mean, somebody could sit here right now and say, go look at his numbers, go look at, where he was in MVP voting, go look at what he's done. But I do think this was, if there was ever a time to not offer him an extension, it would have been this year. This would be the first year that it makes sense to say, we got to pump the brakes for a second here. And then we'll see, obviously how that plays out. There was one other thing that I'm gonna jump into here real quick, and then we'll let Sammy go enjoy his weekend. NBA.com put out ranking the 10 best players in the West heading into the 2025-2026 season. 10 best players in the West. You tell me when you think this is off a little bit, okay? As far as their rankings go. They got Jokic number 1. Any issue there?
No, that's fair. I'm fine with that.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Shea number 2. Good with that?
Sure. He just won a title MVP. Yeah.
I don't think there's an argument to be made. Number 3. Ant number 3. What do you think of Ant number 3?
That's interesting. Because in terms of pure talent, there's an argument you could put him up, like, not over Jokic. But, like, if you took pure talent, and you're not going to say this SGH won a title, but if you gave Anthony Edwards what he had with Oklahoma City, you could make an argument you start a team with Anthony Edwards over SGA. You could really make an argument with that.
I don't think I can.
You don't think so?
I don't think I can. No, I think, and maybe it's because primary ball handler, always got the ball in his hands, kind of initiating some things. Not that SGA is, Luka and he's dishing out 12 dimes a game or anything, 12 dimes a game. But I think I actually, my argument is more Anthony or Luka should be in that number 3 spot. Like if you told me coming into next season, you want Ant on your team or you want Luka on your team. And this is more just for me, stylistically, how they play the game. I'm taking Luka. I want give me the quarterback that's dishing out 12 dimes as well. The difference is Ant can play both sides of the ball and Luka can't.
Well, I think there's a difference in my opinion between who you would, if there was a draft and you could start a team with, and who should be one. Like Jokic has accomplished the most, so that there's no, and maybe you take him 1. But you're counting age, talent, all this stuff. Jokic is number 1. Shea deserves to be there. I'm not trying to discredit Shea. He's fantastic. MVP, just won an NBA championship. He might rip off a couple. And I
think it's only this upcoming year. Like you don't have to look at age or any of that stuff. It's just this upcoming year.
Okay, only this upcoming year. But in terms of like just a single, if it was that, then yes, I firmly believe SGA should be over. I think you can make an argument that Luka could be there, as you said. You could make an argument Luka could be 2. He doesn't have the hardware yet, but I mean, yeah, if you're just talking about 1 year, you really
1 year, yeah, and I think it's just literally talking about this upcoming year. You got Ant at number 3, Luka's at number 4, Steph at number 5, AD at number 6. I don't know why that surprises me a little bit, but it does surprise me a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Ant at number 6, KD at number 7, Kawhi at number 8. They got LeBron all the way at number 9, and they put Wembanyama at number 10. So they got Wemby at 10. So there's your top 10 players in the
Yeah,
Western Conference.
I feel like that list could very much, like Wemby could shoot up that list during the season.
I agree.
He could really make his way in that top 5. Kawhi is tough because it's just like he's staying healthy. I mean, he's a fantastic player when he's there, but at the same time, it's like he's never on the court, and when he is, it just feels like there's always something. But yeah, that list is interesting. I'm surprised AD's that high. I'm actually like I don't say I dislike it, the fact that AD's over Kevin Durant, but I am a little surprised that the list would put it that way.
Yeah, and again, just a reminder, that's just the West. So I know people are saying here, putting Giannis on there and everything else. Giannis is, we know he's top 3 in the league, but this is just in the Western Conference.
I wonder where Kyrie would slot if he was healthy.
I don't think he goes over any of those players. You think you put him top 10 over any of the players that are on there?
I don't know. I'm curious if he would make the list over Kawhi. I know that sounds crazy, but if you would, just in terms of availability, even for one season, I know it's only one season. Yeah. I think someone can make an argument, and I know he's dealing with a massive injury. If he wasn't injured, I think there's an argument that Kyrie, in terms of talent, should be on the top
10. Sammy, great stuff, brother. I appreciate you coming on the show, giving your insight, giving all the USA basketball predictions for 2028 as well.
Yeah, you got to get them in early. Listen, you can get those betting tickets in now.
That's it. Sammy's ready. If somebody's got to bet, Sammy's in.
You can ticket the window, put it in a glass case, just put it away. You can get really good odds early on.
All right, brother. Have a great weekend.
Yep, you too. Thank you, everybody. You see y'all.
All right, that is Sammy Long right there. Good work, Sammy. Good work, Sammy. Okay, I got a ton of comments that I know I still got to read here, so let me get to a couple of the comments, and then we will call it a day. I do have the weekend recap that I'm going to get into in just a second as well. All right, let me find some of these comments here. Got some supers here. Let's see. Slee, listen to your show. Bring the facts. Austin Reaves, Trevor Lane, make excuses from all day. I don't think Trevor's making excuses for Austin Reaves. I think there's him and I were doing a show together on Wednesday, and I think there's legitimate conversations about Austin Reaves with the Lakers, future with the Lakers, and making around $30 million. I think there's legitimate arguments to be made. DCRU, I appreciate that. That's 2 supers you threw in today. And then just to add to the mix here, need him to drop 30 to 40 points in the playoffs when we need him. The regular season playoffs are different. AR was missing in action in Minnesota. I don't think you're ever going to get 30 to 40, and nor should you be asking him to get 30 and 40. I think if this is the Austin Reaves conversation, if it's Luka, that's different. I think Luka certainly can give you 30 or 40, and I'm not saying he's going to give that to you every single night. I'm just saying he's got the capability of doing that. But I think for Austin Reaves, what you needed from him was to at least play to the level that he played during the regular season. And he didn't do that. So that's why a lot of people, I think, had a bad taste in their mouth. Thank you for the supers, brother. DCRUU, thank you, brother. Very, very kind of you and nice of you to throw all those supers in. Threw in 3 during the show today. So thank you very much, brother. I appreciate that. Let's get a couple more comments in here. Let's see what we got here. Wemby, number 1. Yeah, I'm not putting Wemby at number 10. I'm not putting Wemby at number 10. I'll tell you that right now. But that's up for Wemby to kind of shoot up the list. So I think that's going to be interesting to watch. Good stuff, Sammy. Of course, good stuff from him. Always coming in ready and prepared. So great stuff from him. Okay, let's take a look at what we got going on for the weekend. So we'll do the weekend preview. Of course, is presented by the Wallace firm. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. So please keep that in mind here. Injury attorneys representing the entire state of California. If you ever have an issue, please go to that website to have a professional help you out. Free consultation. Here's what we got for the weekend preview. Just real quick from a Major League Baseball perspective, some really, really good matchups this weekend as we're getting a little bit closer to obviously crunch time and playoff time and everything else. Now we still got some time here, but really, really good matchups. I'm going to point out a couple of them. This is just predominantly in the NL. Actually, not necessarily the NL, because NL and AL, there's a lot of good matchups that are involving both sides. Philadelphia at Texas, the Mets at Milwaukee. So these are all teams that are in the playoff hunt or have a solidified playoff spot, but there's still a lot of movement and shaking going on. Boston at San Diego. So the Boston Red Sox versus the San Diego Padres. Big game for both of these teams. Both of these teams kind of making some more recent noise as of late. Toronto at LA. So you got the Blue Jays taking on the Dodgers. That should be a really good series as well. Interesting matchup in that one. Max Scherzer versus Clayton Kershaw. So you got some old school pitchers that are going at it. So big matchups over the weekend. Really, really good games over the weekend, and they all have a lot of playoff implications. If you're keeping track in the NL, it's pretty tight. You got 3-4 teams within a few games of each other. Milwaukee kind of running away with the best record in the NL, so it definitely will be interesting and should be interesting to watch. And then the last thing I'm going to point out, NFL schedule here real quick. So the NFL it's back. So you had some preseason games yesterday. Baltimore and Indianapolis, Philly, Cincinnati, Las Vegas, and Seattle. I'm not watching preseason. It's just I'm not going to be doing it. But you'll have games tonight. You'll have a full slate of games tomorrow. You'll have a couple of games coming up on Sunday. So it's going to be fun to obviously have the games now. And then eventually we're not too far away from the regular season starting. How far are we? When's week 1 will be, what is that? About a month away. September 4th will be week 1. So that will be on a Thursday night is when they'll start NFL football. So we're under a month before NFL starts. Obviously, college football will be starting as well. So that'd be fun to kind of get all those sports back in the mix here. I think everybody would agree that that's what we're all looking for. Let's see what else we got here. Boston's good. Boston's really, really good. So we'll see what happens in regards to that. Let's see if we get another one here. Slee, don't forget about soccer. I have been watching a little bit more. San Diego they got their MLS team as well. So I've been following soccer a little bit more, especially because they're actually playing well and kind of surprising to see them as an expansion team and playing well in their first season. All right, my people, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Fun week. Yes, just 3 shows this week, but I think that's the right amount. I think that's kind of the right way to do it for now. I know that's what I'm going to do for August, and then we'll kind of go, we'll play off of that moving forward. But back on Monday, so we'll get a chance to do the show again. Probably going to have a guest again on Wednesday. Something along those lines is how I'm kind of planning out the week. But thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Friday. Hope you have a great weekend. And I will see you on Monday morning. Thank you, everybody.